Shen was the picture of failure, poor, disparate, and living in a tiny apartment. His father had disappeared years ago with the classic, "I'm going to buy a cigarette" excuse, and his girlfriend had left him for a millionaire playboy. He had nothing except his determination. One day, his life turned upside down when he bought a mysterious marine iguana in a pet store, spending almost everything he had. Shen was bitten by the creature. What seemed like bad luck turned out to be an incredible power. He could now control minds and, even stranger, his bond with the iguana made them both evolve together. As the iguana grew, after each meal, Shen became stronger, faster, and more intelligent. He began to feed the monster feasts fit for a king, imagining that, in time, they could both achieve unimaginable powers. Shen realized that his psychic abilities could help him earn money and, perhaps, change his life. But the dilemma remained: use his power to help humanity or follow a darker path? Between painful flashbacks of an absent father and the pressure of an ever-evolving world, Shen saw his journey begin. Training incessantly, he dreamed of the day when he could face his challenges, find answers, and, who knows, even reunite with his missing father. And so Shen, with his pet Godzilla, set out on an epic adventure to prove that even the biggest loser can reach the top, as long as he has a plan and a giant lizard. The punching bag was in pieces after the intense training. The feeling of progress and strength was intoxicating, especially when witnessing the steadily increasing results. Shen decided to test out his new upward kick. When he hit the bag, the blow was so powerful that he threw it across the room, breaking it in half. A new notification appeared in the air: Constitution, Vinioit, Spirit, Disease. Another surprise: the marine iguana was only 5 points away from reaching its next evolution. Shen smiled, remembering the traditional martial arts system that his father had explained years ago. The Ming Dark and Transformation Realms. The peak of the Ming realm, where Shen now found himself, transformed the practitioner into an elite fighter, capable of taking on dozens of opponents single-handedly. The Dark Realm, on the other hand, elevated the individual to a first-class expert, able to fight 100 opponents simultaneously, often members of legendary families. Finally, the Transformation Realm was the pinnacle, where warriors could take on 1,000 enemies at once, true masters whose exploits were only recorded in ancient texts. Although Shen's father had briefly reached the Dark Realm, he had returned to the Ming realm because he couldn't sustain that level. For young Shen, these stories always fascinated him, but at the moment, his focus was on the imminent evolution of his clone, the marine iguana, who was already the size of an average human. The time had come. Shen offered the monster its final meal. As the creature devoured each morsel, evolution points began to accumulate. When they reached dozenas, the transformation began. But it was much more painful and intense than Shen had expected. The iguana began to grow rapidly, its horns protruding, and discharges of electricity emanated from its body. To Shen's surprise, the pain the creature felt was reflected in his own body, like a visceral connection between the two of them. They both fell to the ground, unable to bear the agony. When the pain finally passed, Shen noticed the impact. His constitution had doubled to 56, and his spirit had risen to Dizoidu. What's more, the now imposing monster looked like a dragon, exuding an aura of power. Shen laughed, satisfied, but realized that the apartment was no longer the place to house such a colossal being. He decided to take it to the sea. On the way, Shen drove his second-hand car, with a Bulbasaur doll dangling from the dashboard. When he reached the beach, he guided the creature with his mind control ability. The iguana dived into the water, exploring the ocean in search of prey. It soon found a five-eyed mutant fish. Chen barely contained his laughter, muttering, "Radiation? Of course. We're creating the next Godzilla." The iguana attacked the fish and, after defeating it, gained Des evolution points, an impressive leap compared to ordinary meals. However, the hunt had to be interrupted when a notification appeared. Daily evolution limit reached. Chen used this time to explore an underwater cave, where he found a space with oxygen. It was the perfect hiding place for the iguana. Upon returning to the surface, Chen took the road home, but on the way, something caught his eye. An abandoned house with boards nailed to the windows and a suspicious van parked next to it. Chen heard a female voice calling for help, and despite being tired, he stopped the car, cautiously assessing the situation. As he watched, two goons peered out from inside the house, discussing whether he had already left. Chen started the car, and they weren't to escape. After approaching the house, Chen and his team realized that three men had kidnapped a woman. One of them was trying to keep her quiet, but noticed too late that the cloth covering her mouth had fallen off. The bald leader of the group, furious, kicked his subordinate for not realizing the situation. The man tried to justify himself by saying that the dark environment made it difficult to see. The leader threatened the woman with terrible torture if she didn't cooperate. Meanwhile, Chen parked his car a safe distance away and walked up to the house, activating his energy perception. Like Raider, he detected their presence: three armed kidnappers and the woman, bound and unconscious. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, Chen chose to act quickly and effectively. In a surprising move, he broke down the door with a devastating kick, catching the men off guard. Before they could react, Chen knocked out the henchmen with precise blows, leaving the bald leader stunned. The leader tried to attack Chen from behind, but was quickly neutralized. However, one of the subordinates, called Ning, demonstrated advanced martial arts skills and challenged Chen to a duel. Ning asked what kind of fighter Chen was, and he replied confidently, "An 8-armed boxer." The fight began fiercely, with Ning using Pun Wang and Taolu techniques. Chen, however, countered with the devastating Iron Mountain, a lethal blow that launched Ning several meters away. Despite the pain, Ning smiled, impressed to find someone who was up to the task. Chen, however, Ning, overcome by an insane look, attempted a fatal blow against Chen, but was once again subdued. At the end of the battle, Chen freed the kidnapped woman, telling her to call the police without revealing her identity. Later at the police station, Officer Guan analyzed the incident reports. The damage to the door indicated superhuman strength, something not even the local boxing champion could achieve. 2 kidnappers had died from their injuries, and the third was in a vegetative state. Guan commented that even stranger events were taking place in the city, but was interrupted by a sudden storm. The scene switches to Shan by the sea, where he observes a group of criminals digging up a sunken ship. The leader Zhang, showing off his newly acquired ability to breathe underwater, was planning to loot lost treasure. When confronted by Shan, Zhang tried to attack him, but was quickly defeated with a vicious kick that threw him into a tree. Zhang's henchmen tried to flee, but Shan easily captured them, using his mind control powers to obtain information. He discovered that Zhang was leading an illegal underwater looting operation using a front company. Shan smiled as he realized that his boss acted like a machine, obeying his every command. He realized that his mind control technique was highly effective, even on ordinary people. The boss, now a puppet under his control, revealed valuable information. After extracting everything he needed, Shan canceled the mind control, but, surprisingly, the boss continued to call him boss, and ask about the state of his hand. Taking advantage of the situation, Shan lied, claiming that he had accidentally broken his arm. With a devilish grin, Shan recognized that mind control could leave lasting effects on the psyche of its victims, making it easier to manipulate even after the technique had ended. He soon took command of Zheng's ship. When asked by subordinates who Shan was, Zheng replied that he was the big boss and demanded absolute respect. Zheng also ordered the transfer of his assets to Shan, consolidating his position as leader. After that, Zheng was sent to the hospital, while Shan consolidated his new base of operations. At the same time, the iguana, now free in the sea, was feeding voraciously, growing and accumulating energy that was transferred to Shan. He didn't just rely on the clone to increase his power. He dedicated himself to physical training, accumulating evolution points. Shan realized that he would be facing individuals with superpowers and mysterious creators from the depths of the ocean.